As students, I think we can all relate to those moments when we need to stay up late, or wake up really early, or get through a tough afternoon to study for an exam, or maybe work on a last-minute project. I think a lot of us turn to coffee in those moments to help us get through. But do you ever notice that after having a little bit of coffee, your heart starts racing, your thoughts start bouncing around your head, maybe your hands are shaking, and you might even get some anxiety in your stomach? I definitely get those symptoms, and so I switched from drinking coffee to drinking tea. Today, I'm here to persuade you, my audience, to eschew the brew and drink tea instead. In persuading you to drink tea instead of coffee, I will speak to how tea is superior to coffee in increasing cognition, in calming the nervous system, and improving mental health. First, I will speak to how tea is superior to coffee in improving cognition. As we probably all know, coffee contains caffeine. Caffeine is a strong stimulant. As Owen, Parnell, De Bruin, and Rycroft said in their 2008 study, the combined effect of L-theanine and caffeine on cognitive performance and mood. Caffeine improved subjective alertness at 60 minutes and accuracy on the attention switching task at 90 minutes. In this study, the researchers gave two groups different stimulants. One was just caffeine, and the other was caffeine and an amino acid called L-theanine. The caffeine group was able to improve their attention just a little bit. L-theanine, the amino acid I just mentioned, is naturally found in tea, and when you mix caffeine and L-theanine, it has far superior benefits than caffeine alone. The same researchers found that the L-theanine and caffeine combination improved both speed and accuracy of performance of the attention-switching tasks at 60 minutes, and reduced susceptibility to distracting information in the memory task at both 60 minutes and 90 minutes. So while the caffeine helped focus a little bit, the caffeine plus L-theanine improved memory, it improved the ability to switch tasks, and it improved the ability to hone in and focus on what they were given to do. So now that I've explained how tea is superior to caffeine in improving cognition, I will talk about how tea is superior to coffee in calming the nervous system, and finish with how tea improves mental health more than coffee. So now I'll talk about how tea is more calming to the nervous system than coffee. There are two types of nervous system modes. The nervous system regulates our thoughts, hormones, and vital chemicals. And some of those chemicals and hormones will put us into fight or flight mode, and some of them will put us into a nice rest and digest mode so that we can relax. Caffeine by itself stimulates that ready-to-go, action-packed mode that we can get into. When we have caffeine, our heart starts pumping blood, and our extremities get a whole bunch of blood and energy, and we're ready to run. But that's not a great place to be if you're trying to study for an exam or work on a project. So Ramalakshmi and Raghavan in 2010 published a piece called Caffeine in Coffee, Its Removal, How and Why. And they said, the alkaloid caffeine present in coffee can cause addiction and stimulate the central nervous system. It has an effect on the cardiovascular system with a slight increase in blood pressure and heart output. Tea, on the other hand, according to Nobra, Rao, and Owen, in their 2008 study, L-theanine, a natural constituent in tea, and its effect on mental state. This increase in alpha band activity supports a role for L-theanine in achieving a relaxed but alert mental state. You can see this picture on the left is from their study, and it has images of brain scans that they did. The left images are of a brain on just water, the control group, and then on the right it's the L-theanine group. And you can see there's a rainbow of activity in their brain. Even though the brain was activated, the L-theanine let them keep a relaxed but alert mental state. So they didn't feel that same panic, that same heart racing sensation that you can with just caffeine on its own. So now that I've spoken about how tea is superior to coffee when it comes to cognition and when it comes to the nervous system, I will talk about how tea is superior to coffee when it comes to your mental health. So now I'll explain how tea is better for your mental health than coffee. Unfortunately, coffee has a strong association with depression and anxiety. Tenore, Daglia, Orlando, D'Urso, Sadat, Novellino, Nabavi, and Nabavi in 2015 did a meta-analysis called Coffee and Depression, a Short Review of Literature. And as they read all the literature, they noticed that there was a strong correlation between depression, anxiety, and drinking coffee. They wrote, during the past 2 decades, several studies have indicated that there is a close correlation between consumption of coffee and incident of depression. I know in myself that when I drink coffee, I feel very, very anxious, and so I can definitely relate to what they write. However, unlike coffee, tea decreases mental health issues. Dong, Yang, Kao, Gan, Sun, Gong, Yang, Yin, and Liu in 2015 published an article called Tea Consumption and the Risk of Depression, a meta-analysis of observational studies. And they wrote, tea consumption is associated with decreased risk of depression. Similarly, tea cultivates good mental health. Another article by Kokman Jakubskis Jabuschik, Antonowicz, Mrook, and Janda in 2020 wrote, due to its potential for preventing many diseases and supporting cognitive function, regular consumption of matcha may have a positive effect on both physical and mental health. So, while coffee can lead to depression, anxiety, and a number of heart issues like we previously mentioned, tea decreases the likelihood of depression and increases the likelihood of good mental health. So for today, my aim has been to persuade my audience to switch from coffee to tea for a myriad of reasons that I've mentioned. In persuading you to switch from coffee to tea, I explained how drinking tea can improve your cognitive abilities, how it can calm your nervous system instead of stimulate it, and how it can promote and cultivate positive mental health rather than bringing a detrimental aspect to your mental health. So for all of these reasons, even if you passionately love coffee, I do encourage you to try drinking coffee next time you need to study or stay up late or wake up early for school, because for students it seems to be the best option based on my own personal experience and all the research that I've done. And I would also just like to offer maybe a few examples of delicious drinks that you can drink instead of coffee. I really enjoy matcha latte, Earl Grey, iced green tea with honey, or even if I'm in the mood for something sweet, a classic black tea boba. Thank you so much.